I still remember the day my stepmother looked me in the eyes and said, "You're lucky your father lets you stay here." Stay here. In the house my father built. In the house where I was born. In the house where my mother's photo still hung on the walls. From that moment, I realized something. I wasn't family to them. I was just a problem they wished would disappear. And for years, they made sure I never forgot it. My name is Ethan. When I was 8 years old, my mother passed away. For a while, it was just me and my dad. Those were the happiest years of my life. Then he remarried. At first, my stepmother acted kind. She smiled. She bought me gifts. She called me sweetheart. But the moment she moved in, everything changed. The mask came off. She had 2 children of her own, a son and a daughter, and suddenly I became the outsider in my own home. At dinner, they got the best portions. I got leftovers. They got new clothes. I got hand-me-downs. They went on vacations. I stayed home. And whenever I complained, my stepmother would smile and say, "Stop being selfish." The worst part wasn't the insults. It wasn't being ignored. It wasn't even watching them treat me like a servant. The worst part was pretending it didn't hurt, because my father was always working. He was building businesses, managing properties, trying to secure a future for all of us. And I knew if I told him everything, it would break his heart. So I stayed silent for years. But my father wasn't blind. He noticed more than I realized. The sad smiles, the excuses, the way I spent most of my time alone. And as I got older, he started asking questions. Questions my stepfamily couldn't answer. Questions that exposed the truth. Then came the day everything changed. The day my father collapsed. I was 22. He was diagnosed with a terminal illness. The doctors gave him months, maybe less. And suddenly, the same people who ignored him for years started pretending to care. My stepmother became the perfect wife. Her children became the perfect kids. Everyone wanted to be seen at his bedside, but I knew why. Because they knew exactly how much he was worth. Millions. Businesses, properties, investments, luxury homes, everything. Every time they visited his room, they talked about the future. Not his future, their future. Who would get what? Which house they'd live in, which cars they'd keep, which accounts they'd inherit. They acted like he was already gone. And my father noticed, every single time. One night he asked everyone to leave, except me. The room was quiet. Machines beeped softly beside him. His hands trembled, but his eyes were sharp, stronger than ever. He looked at me and said, "Son, I'm sorry." I asked him why, and he started crying. For the first time in my life, I saw my father cry. I should have protected you more. I saw what they did. I saw everything. I couldn't speak. My throat closed. Because for years, I thought he never knew. He reached into a drawer beside his bed, pulled out a folder, and placed it in my hands. "Everything is yours." I stared at him, confused. Every property, every business, every account, every investment, everything I built. I shook my head. I told him he didn't have to do that, but he smiled. "I'm not giving it to you because you're my son. I'm giving it to you because you earned it." Then he said something I'll never forget. "The people who love you when you have nothing deserve everything. The people who love you only when you have something deserve nothing." The next morning, my father passed away, and suddenly, everything changed. The reading of the will happened a week later. The room was packed. My stepmother sat confidently. Her children looked excited, almost happy. The lawyer opened the document and started reading. I watched their smiles disappear. Sentence by sentence, line by line, every house, mine, every business, mine, every investment account, mine, every vehicle, mine, every asset, mine. By the end, the room was silent. My stepbrother stood up first. There has to be a mistake. The lawyer shook his head. There wasn't. My stepmother looked like she'd seen a ghost. Then came the anger, the accusations, the screaming, the threats. But none of it mattered, because the documents were ironclad. My father had prepared everything years ago. He knew exactly what would happen. For the next month, they barely spoke to me. Then reality hit them. The house they lived in? Mine. The bills? Mine. Everything belonged to me. And suddenly, the people who spent years treating me like garbage became the nicest people on earth. My stepmother started cooking my favorite meals. My stepbrother called me bro. My stepsister told me we should spend more time together. It was almost funny.